Welcome to Subramani. I've recently been dealing with some bereavements, and mostly it is the men who have died, and it is the women who are needing some handholding and some counseling. So, what are the things that you have to do when widowhood or divorce happens and you become single in your life again? Right. So, let us look at some of the things that you have to do. First things, in the next 6 months, don't buy any financial product. I have seen people being conned into buying bad financial products by their own relatives, uncle, nephew, neighbor, anybody who comes and they are in trouble and they're not doing well, and so here somebody is peddling a bad product. So first decide that next 6 months you will just soak it in that you are single. You now have to handle your own money. Your children may or may not be very useful in helping you. You may have a neighbor, you may have a classmate, you have a friend, you may have a sibling, somebody willing to help you financially, but make sure that person is not selling you a product. Do not buy any product for the next 6 months. You don't need. You just work with your savings bank account, and in collecting all the money is in your name, right? So first step, don't buy any product. Second, immediate thing which is to be done even before the first one is creating your own will. Let's say your husband has died, the house belongs to you. That is, your husband had a will, you have got it, the society had the nomination papers, they've transferred it to your name. Immediately make your own will, because if you were to die, your children will be stuck now with no will. Your husband had a will, he left it in your name. Now make a will with whomever you want to give it to, but make your will, make your gift deed, whatever, but make sure that the real estate is titled, right? So having the real estate titled is good, but now second, make sure all the nominees are created, right? So let's say your husband and you held mutual funds, and your husband held the mutual funds in single name with you as the nominee, or your husband held it in your joint name. So everything will get transferred to you. As soon as it gets transferred to you, they normally will ask you whether you want a nomination, and you will want a nomination, so make the nomination. If your savings bank account was held jointly and did not have let's say neither or survivor, and did not have a nominee, they would have reminded you about the nominee. You may not have done it, but please review all the beneficiary designations. Any retirement account could be your PPF account, could be any of those accounts. Maybe your husband's PPF account had you as a designated nominee. You have got the money, and you have your husband as the nominee, and that has to change. Your husband has died, so now the nomination in your account or own account also has to change. Wherever your husband was in the first name and you were the second name, all of that will get transferred to you. You have to make sure that you nominate your child or somebody, whoever you want to complete that nomination, and all those of your assets where you had your husband as a nominee has to change, and your children have to be nominated. Believe me, it's an overwhelming exercise. It can sink you. Unless your children or somebody is supporting you, it's going to be difficult. Please seek professional advice. Don't make mistakes. Huge mistakes people make. Another thing to do is close all the credit cards of your husband. If you have been an add-on card, that card will cease to work for you. So maybe get yourself a new credit card. Check out your husband's CIBIL score. Check out your own CIBIL score, right? So make sure that there are no negative things. If there are negative things, make correction. Exactly like what you would do for your assets, do for your credit card also. So you have now reviewed all the beneficiary designation. Make sure that your credit card is also closed. Your husband's credit card is closed properly. You may or may not have to file your husband's income tax return if there is taxable income. If there is no taxable income, you don't have to do anything, but you may still have to file a tax return if he has a house or something, and close it. See, today closing an account is not very difficult because the Aadhaar card is already notified, because in the death certificate it has been mentioned. But you may have to close it properly rather than letting it lying open and creating further trouble for you at a later date. Another thing to do, if you and your husband have been living on a budget, or making a budget and accordingly, living according to that, you may have to revise your budget. You may see a significant drop in income, but you may not see a very significant drop in income if your husband has died in his, say, 70s. But if you are a woman in your 30s or 40s and you've had a divorce, you might see a significant drop in income. And a woman's income drops. I mean, there is enough research only in the US saying it drops by 18%, drops by or 22% immediately after divorce. So be careful about that. Revisit your budget, revisit your where you want to stay, what you want to do. All those things may have to be reviewed. You may or may not use your timeshare, because if you are used to traveling only with your spouse, only with your husband, and you won't travel, you may have a timeshare which is not going to be very useful. What you can do with it, I'm not getting into it, but make sure that if it is lying in your husband's name, that also has to be transferred. All the beneficiary designation of all your assets, liabilities, timeshare, etc. You have to make sure that has been done. If your husband is the person who was investing, then it is time you took some charge of your investments and made sure that you invest wisely. Adjusting your investment portfolio to align with your new goals and new risk tolerance is completely essential. The financial landscape which you shared with your partner, hopefully you knew why you were investing, where you were investing, etc. It's important to do all that. You may be surprised that your total expenses don't change much, right? You may not go on a vacation, so that might be different, but the amount of milk you buy may be less, the vegetables you buy may be less, but those are not really significant things, right? You may continue all your cable connections or your telephone connections. Don't surrender your husband's phone at least for a year, because you might still keep getting your OTPs, etc. So make sure that all those changes are made. Make sure that everything is closed from your husband's point of view, and if you can leave one account open, it makes sense. Don't close it. Don't be in a hurry to close. Suddenly, if you get a check, you don't know where to put it, right? So keep one account running for a long time. Inform other banks. Today, you're not going to be able to hide it for a long time, but within 6-8 months, close everything and give your husband's death certificate and start managing your money wisely, right? If you think life is too complicated, your husband had too complicated assets, start with an index fund. Put your money in an index fund, what you don't require after 4 or 5 years, and what you are going to require only after 4 or 5 years, and the other money, let it be in ultra short bond fund or something like that. There's no great hurry. Take stock of situation, of course. I also think it's very important that you should seek professional advice if you are not very confident of handling your own money. Find out whom your husband was dealing with. Find out the person, and if he is not very happy handling your money, there's no logic that he shouldn't be. I would suggest to couples that they should anyway be meeting the financial planner jointly together, the investment professional together, so that you know what is happening, right? So, but if you have not been doing that, then seek out, get an appointment, take his help, or if you're not comfortable with him, take the help of somebody else. Maybe you want a female financial advisor and they're available. So check that out. Navigating personal finances can be daunting. It can be very boring. It can be sickening, and then you will take the easy way out saying, look, do I have enough for myself? And if that answer is yes, let me just deal with it. Whatever else is there is too complicated. Let me ignore it. Don't do that. Involve your children, or tell them that, look, if you don't get involved, you're going to lose everything, right? So tell them that. Make sure all the nominations, designations, etc. are in place. A trusted financial advisor can provide tailored advice, helping you simplify decisions and create a roadmap for your financial security. Take that route, because it might be better than navigating it alone. Thank you.